Hello friends, it's Mrs. Schreiber again, and today we're going to have a lesson on text features in nonfiction. So before we get started, let's do a go noodle to get ourselves calm, alert, and ready to learn.
From mindless to mindful. To be mindful is to let your attention rest on this moment, on just right now. Let's practice being in the moment. Your body is still, right now. Can you feel that? Your breath is moving in and out of your nose. Can you notice that? Rest one hand on your chest. Can you feel your breath? Move that hand to your belly. Notice breath there. Can you feel that? Bring your hands around to your back. Breath might be moving there. Feel that? This bell is ringing right now. Can you hear that? Where is your attention? Did it wander? It's okay. That's what minds do. Let's practice a little bit more. Now this bell is ringing. Can you hear that? This green dot is still. Can you see that? Some of the other dots are moving. Notice that and then focus your attention on the very still dot. Return your attention to your body. Hands. They're still. Can you feel them? Feet are still. Can you feel them? You are here right now. Can you feel that? In this moment, you are mindful. Do you notice that? There are moments in your day when you can practice being mindful. When you are reading, just read. When you are tying your shoe, just tie your shoe. When you are chewing your food, just chew. Your mind can be full of one thing, one moment at a time.
All right, now that we're calm, alert, and ready to learn, let's get started. We're going to do some word work today at the beginning of our lesson. And like we have in the past few lessons, we did homophones, and we also worked with antonyms and synonyms. Today we're going to look at something different. We're going to work with some words a little bit differently. So when we're saying these words, I want you to think about what you notice about what these words have in common. So I'm going to say the word, and then I want you to repeat after me. Chick. Now you say it. Chick. Truck. Now you say it. Truck. Magic. Now you say it. Magic. Rock. Now you say it. Rock. Beak. Now you say it. Beak. Comic. Now you say it. Comic. Speak. Now you say it. Speak. Croak. Now you say it. Croak. Bucket. Now you say it. Bucket. Spark. Now you say it. Spark. Clinic. Now you say it. Clinic. Rocket. Now you say it. Rocket. Pink. Now you say it. Pink. Are you noticing a pattern? Clerk. Now you say it. Clerk. Desk. Now you say it. Desk. Fork. Now you say it. Fork. Chicken. Now you say it. Chicken. And the last word, panic. Now you say it. Panic. What did you notice about all of these words? Did you notice that you heard the k sound? Where do you hear the k sound in all of these words? That's right. We mostly hear the k sound at the end of our words. How can we group these words together in ways that are similar? Think about it. If I could group all these words in a category, what categories would I have? Well, if I think about it and I look at my words, I notice that k sound at the end in words like chick and truck. Notice they both have the CK at the end. I also notice that k sound in words like magic and comic. Both of those end in an IC. I also hear the k sound in words like rock and beak. Rock has the CK, sorry I didn't underline that, but beak has just the K alone. And also a word like speak ends in that K. So we can group them into columns like the K, ending sound K, ending sound CK, and ending sound IC. They all have the k sound. So let's look at our words. Speak, croak, spark, desk, clerk, pink, and beak. What they have in common is that after we hear the long vowel sound or that vowel team in the word speak, we have the EA as a vowel team, we hear the K, so speak. So we have the vowel team and then you're going to have a K only. We also hear in words like spark, we have the K after an R controlled or that bossy R vowel. So spark is AR and then you have the K. So spark or clerk. And then also you have just the K after a consonant L, N, or S. In words like pink, the NK, or desk, the SK. In our CK column, we have the words chick, truck, chicken, although that's not at the end of the word, it's still in the middle of the word, bucket, rock, and rocket. So we have a few words that have just one syllable, chick, truck, and rock. And those all are going to have the CK when you have a short vowel sound. So ch, I, the short I, k, you'll have the CK. Or in a word like rock, r, ah, you hear the short O, k, CK. Chicken, bucket, and rocket all have that short vowel sound as well, and the CK follows it. And then the words that end in IC, magic, clinic, comic, and panic. The rule for the IC is at the end of a multisyllabic word, meaning that it's more than one syllable. So magic, magic, that's two syllables, so you're going to have the IC at the end. Clinic, two syllables, so more than one. So let's look at our fluency passage for the day. This is an excerpt from Animals Big and Small. An excerpt, remember, is just a part of a passage. It's not the whole thing. I just went in and took a little bite out of it. So our rules of fluency is we want to remember to read smoothly, with expression, with meaning, and at just the right speed. Not too fast and not too slow. So I'm going to read this passage first, and I want you to also be reading it along with me. And then you can practice reading this passage and then read it to a family member or friend. A blue whale is the biggest animal on Earth. It's monstrous. It can be as heavy as 180 tons. That's bigger than a bus. And a blue whale's heart can be as heavy as a car. One of the smallest animals is the gold frog. Are you curious how small it is? A gold frog is not even a centimeter long. That's about the size of a fingernail. The next enormous animal can be found in Africa and at the circus. Did you guess it? Right, the fabulous African elephant. Elephants can stand as tall as 13 feet. That's taller than a basketball hoop. Good job on your fluency. Keep practicing because good readers are fluent readers. Let's get started with our text features. Our focus today is on standard RN 3.1, which says to use various text features to locate key facts or information and explain how they contribute to and clarify a text. So our I can statement is that we can use those various text features to locate the key facts or information and explain how they contribute to and clarify a text. So I know that was a lot of words, but what I want you to understand is when we use text features, they are very important in all of our nonfiction text. We want to make sure that we're looking at our pictures and we're looking at the words that are in bold and all of those other things. So before we get started, let's do some review on text features and what they are. Here's a table of contents. A table of contents is something that is found at the beginning of a text, and it usually has like the section titles and where the page numbers are that those sections can be located. Keywords. Those keywords are words in the text that are important, that the author wants us to bring special attention to. Those words could be in bold, they might be in italics, which means that the font is leaning, the words are leaning, or they might put them in a different color. Illustrations and photographs. You'll notice that an illustration is a picture, but it's like a drawing of a picture. And a photograph is actually what you would take a picture of. So think of illustrations. Illustrators are in books, and we often have them drawing pictures. But in other times, you'll have people just put in a photograph. And then we have a caption. A caption goes along with a photograph or illustration. And it's information that's underneath of it that gives us more information about the picture. So for example, we have a picture of Saturn, and under it we have the caption telling us more information about Saturn being the 6th planet from the sun, and that has many rings of rock and ice that orbit the planet. So it gives us extra information. Captions are really important too because sometimes that information is not found in the text, and there will be questions on that you might have come across that have to do with the caption. The next one is a diagram. So the diagram shows us parts of the object, and usually when you have a diagram, they will have labels around them so that you can understand what those parts actually are. We have a map. Maps give us the important places. They show us where things are located. And timelines, those are diagrams that show events in chronological or time order. A graph. Graph gives us information, and it shows different ways that you can look at data. You might have a bar graph or a pie graph. A glossary. Glossary is used at the end of a book, and it usually tells us what the words mean. Usually it's from the bold words that were in the text. Guide words are in dictionaries, and they're at the tops of the page so that they tell you what words are on that page. We also notice headings. Headings are like a title, but it's usually like the title of maybe a chapter or something like that. and it's very big at the top. And then subheadings. They're smaller headings underneath that big title. So the subheadings are usually the title of smaller sections or paragraphs. And the last one is an index. An index is at the very end of a book, and if I wanted to look up something in the book about comets, I know that I can look in alphabetical order, find the word comet, and then I can go to page 63 and 65 and find out information about that. So remember, text features are very helpful whenever we're looking for information. So finding those text features can really help us figure out what this is about. Our passage today that we're going to read is called Coral Reefs. So reefs around the world, and then what is a coral reef? I notice that's in italics, and I notice that they're both titles underneath the main title of our story called Coral Reefs. So I'm already thinking about what those things might tell me about the story. A coral reef is a large underwater ecosystem. The structure of a reef is made from the exoskeletons of the coral species that have grown into massive communities of coral over the centuries. Reefs provide shelter to thousands of species of fish and other marine plants and animals. In fact, over 25% of all the known marine species live in reefs. I also see a picture here, looks like a photograph of a man looking in scuba gear, and he's underwater with some fish. It actually says a scuba diver swims over a coral reef. So that's what coral reef looks like. Reefs in danger. Because coral reefs develop so slowly, they are in danger. They can't repair or replace themselves as quickly as they are being harmed by pollution, overfishing, rising temperatures, and even damage by humans. About 20% of the corals in our oceans have already been lost, and 60% of the reefs that remain are considered at risk or endangered. When corals are damaged or die, it affects all of the ecosystem, causing a chain reaction to the fish and other animals that live there. Well, I see another photograph here underwater, and it says fish and other living things live within a coral reef. I also notice that the words that were in bold on the other page, they're down here with a definition. Ecosystem, a community of organisms and their physical environment, and an exoskeleton is a hard outer covering of invertebrates. So I want to remember whenever I read a passage, if there are anything that are extra there, we want to make sure we look at all of the things because it's important information. So let's look at some of our text features a little closer and how they help me understand the text. So I'm picking out heading and subheading. So let's look back in our passage. Where do we find them? Well, I remember that heading and subheadings are at the beginning, but it's not the title. So remember, Reefs Around the World is our heading. It's right under our title, and it gives us a little bit more information about what the passage is going to be about. So my title tells me coral reefs. There's a lot of information on coral reefs, but this is telling me it's going to be reefs around the world. So it might give us more information about where they're located. And then it says, what is a coral reef? That's my subheading. So this whole paragraph here is all about what coral reef is. So if I have any questions about coral reef and what it is, this will be the place I'd want to go and look. Reefs in danger. So this section is about reefs in danger. And that's my next subheading. So that is going to tell me information about what might happen and why they might be endangered. So any questions I have on that, I can look there. So how do the headings and the subheadings help me understand the text? Well, they let me as a reader know what page or what chapter or what the section is about. And it's giving me that extra information so that if I have a specific question, I know exactly where to go. I don't have to reread the whole text to find that information. I can go right back to that section specifically. Let's look at another text feature that I noticed. Photographs. So let's look back here in the text. I noticed the photograph right here, up here at the top, and it also has a caption that explains what's happening in that picture. A scuba diver swims over a coral reef. That gives me information that I would not have known if they just would have had the picture and not the caption. I wouldn't have known maybe what was going on in the picture. And then on the second page, there was another picture, another photograph, and a caption. Fish and other living things live within a coral reef. That gives me more information about what's happening in that picture. So photographs are important because they help me understand what the coral reefs look like and the animals that might live there. The last one that I noticed was a glossary. So I'm going to come back down here at the bottom of my page, and I noticed that the glossary is right here, and it gives me the definitions of those two words that were in bold on the first page. So how is that helping me understand the text? It's telling me the vocabulary words definitions. So those two bold words, they bring my attention, the author brought my attention to them, but I might not know what they mean. But by giving me a glossary and telling me their definitions, I'm able to understand the text a little bit more. Now, I know there were plenty more text features in that story that we read. However, these were just the three that I highlighted. If you're looking for text features, you can pick any of the three that you are wanting to look for. So let's check for some understanding. What are coral reefs? A hard outer covering of invertebrates. B, a large underwater ecosystem. Or C, provide shelter to thousands of species of fish. Well, let's go back in our text and look. What is a coral reef? We see that a coral reef is a large underwater ecosystem. It tells us the exact definition of what it is. So, on the count of three, 1, 2, 3, shout out your answer. You should have said B, a large underwater ecosystem. That is correct. Why are coral reefs in danger? A, the fish and turtles eat them. B, scuba divers swim over the reefs. Or C, they can't repair or replace themselves as quickly. Well, let's go back to our text. Remember, we can look in reefs in danger, our subheading, to find out exactly where we would find that information. And I remember looking back up in this first paragraph, it says because coral reefs develop so slowly, they are in danger. They can't repair or replace themselves as quickly as they're being harmed by all those things, pollution, overfishing, rising temperatures, and even damage by humans. So if you said C, you are correct. And the last question, why are coral reefs considered to be an ecosystem? A, reefs provide shelter to thousands of species of fish and other marine plants and animals. B, about 20% of the corals in our ocean have already been lost. Or C, this causes a chain reaction to the fish and other animals that live there. Well, let's go back and look in our passage. First thing I want to know is, what is an ecosystem? So I'm going to look down here and find the definition. It's a community of organisms and their physical environment. So it's where they live and all the animals that live in there. And so I'm going to come back over here and look at the beginning because it's describing what a coral reef is. And I know that from our subheading. And looking in here, I can see that it says reefs provide shelter to thousands of species of fish and other marine plants and animals. So remember, it's the environment and the animals that live in it. So if you said A, you are correct. All right, so I've got something for you to practice. And I've got a passage. It's about, well, it looks like it might be about animals, lions and elephants, because I can just quickly glance and see the pictures. And that, again, I'm using my text features. You're going to be looking for a couple text features, and you can decide which 3 text features you want to highlight in that reading. And then there's 3 questions to answer along with that. Thank you so much for joining me. And don't forget about our secret word. If you haven't thought about it, it's reef. That's right, R-E-E-F, reef, like coral reef. I hope you have a great afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.